Morning guys, Michael back again, and today I'm going to take a look at this little guy. This is the Fujifilm X-E2s. Today I'm going to talk to you about this guy, Fujifilm X-E2s. It's a older camera. It's a couple of years old now. I believe it was released in 2017. It's the successor to the X-E2. From the X-E2 it added on eye autofocus and Wi-Fi. I believe that's the major sort of selling points that were added on to the X-E2. What it is a X-Tran sensor camera, so it's got the old school Fujifilm sensor in it. It's got a 16 megapixel sensor naturally. It's got a 2.3 million dot EVF, so the viewfinder here, the little viewfinder on the left of the camera, is 2.3 million dots. The screen is 1 million dots, non-touch screen, so no touch there. It's got a hot shoe. It's got a small little flash built in, pops up like so. Not so big a flash, but could get you out of trouble in a pinch. It's got the usual layout for the Fujifilm rangefinder style cameras, and it's a very lightweight camera. This camera is less than 350 grams, so that's really lightweight. It's a camera that I particularly enjoy using, and because of that I'm really tempted to step it up and get the X-E3, but I really can't justify it when I see the quality that's coming out of this little guy. It's, you know, it's perfectly fine for anything that I'm doing, and I guess as long as you're happy with the results you're getting from your camera, you don't really need to upgrade. And that's what I've got to keep telling myself. So yeah, at the moment here I've got the 10 to 24 sitting on top of it, which is a beautiful lens I've just acquired. 10 to 24 f4 with the optical stabilization, and I've also got the Swiss plate attached, which is, I find, almost a necessity with a lot of the Fujifilm cameras. I find that my hand's too big. I'll have my fingers slipping off the bottom of the camera, and I don't like that situation. I like to have my whole hand on the grip like so, and the button, so I can be confident to hold it in one hand without it feeling like it's gonna drop at any moment. Yeah, so that's the main reason I use one of these Swiss plates with the grip. You know, they're only like 20 or 30 bucks on eBay. Super cheap, and such a big improvement in the overall handling of the camera. But if you're fine without it, good luck to you. So what do we have? We've got a mechanical shutter which goes from 4,000th of a second down to 30 seconds. We've got an electronic shutter which goes up to 32,000th of a second, very, very fast. We've got 7 frames per second, which is more than enough for most sort of stuff. We've got a small buffer in this camera. I'm not sure exactly how big it is. Don't rely on the buffer in this camera, that's for sure. We've got 1080p at 60 frames per second video, which is of terrible quality. I do not recommend this camera at all for video. You might be able to get some video of something funny that's happening and, you know, put it on YouTube or Facebook or something like that. But if that's what you're relying on, I wouldn't be getting your hopes up for video from this camera. It's just terrible, yucky. It does have a microphone input, which is the small one. This is from the era where Fujifilm was still sort of trying to tout their little microphone jack, which is a pain in the ass because it means you've got to adapt all your other microphones to fit in it. It takes the W126 batteries, which is the common standard battery for the Fujifilm system, which is great because I've got a few of those lying around the house. This camera features an auto mode, so you can press a button on the back and go into auto mode and everything's automatic. So you got auto shutter, auto ISO, I think it even does auto scene select. I don't use it very often, so I'm not an expert on the auto mode. But if you find yourself in a spot where perhaps you've had settings already set up on the camera and you've suddenly pulled it out of the bag and you want to take a photo or something, that can get you out of trouble. You can just press auto and take your shot. You know, if you're shooting raw, you can do some adjustments later with regard to, you know, how that looks. So that can get you out of a little bit of trouble if that's what you're after. I find it a good feature to have. It's like a program mode or a P mode or a green mode on some other cameras. So that's a good thing to have. So yeah, the use and operation of this camera, I find it really good. I like the way it sits on your face, rangefinder style. I love that. I've used this camera professionally. I've used it at an event recently, even just about a week ago. I used this camera at a girl's event. She was having a party and asked me to take photos. I took two cameras. I took the X-E2s, which I rocked with the 16 to 55 on it, and I took this one with the 56mm lens on it. Great combination. You know, most of the time I'm shooting with the X-E2s, and then when I see a nice shot of a person, you know, in the distance, I can get a nice shallow depth of field and take a nice sort of isolating photo of a person or a couple of people. Very good. The image quality that comes out of this camera is spot on. Very pleased with the image quality that comes out of this camera. Beautiful, typical Fujifilm JPEGs, if that's what you want to use, and of course raw photos that get edited in Capture One, naturally, not Lightroom, and they're just very usable, very good. And like I said, I use this camera regularly at events and weddings, no problems. The autofocus system is not as advanced as the current generation or even like the X-E2 generation of cameras. So don't be expecting miracles from it. It does struggle, particularly when I give it, you know, the hard task of focusing the 56mm 1.2 APD lens. The APD is particularly punishing to any Fujifilm camera, and this one's got the old autofocus system, so I'm really pushing the boundaries there. But anyway, even with that combination at 1.2, I still get plenty of keepers, and I use it. Obviously, I wouldn't be using it if it didn't work. It works, and it's great. Some of the bad points now. So some of the bad things that I don't like about it are it can be a bit too small if you were perhaps, you know, loading it up with a big lens. Some people prefer to have a bigger camera in their hand. If I didn't have this grip on it, I wouldn't be so fond of it. This grip stays on it all the time since I bought it. You know, it gives it a perfect size for me. For somebody else, that may not be an issue. They may prefer it without it. That's just my sense. The other bad thing about this camera, which I mentioned previously, is the video quality, which is absolutely shite. Do not get this camera to record videos. And then the autofocus, you know, the autofocus is like a couple of generations ago. So it works good. It's not outstanding, yeah. But you can get away with it in a pinch. So yeah, that's my quick review of this camera. Like I said, it's an older camera now. They don't make it anymore. I recommend it as a used buy if you can find yourself a good one or a cheap one. you're going to get a bargain. Most of these are selling for dirt cheap because, you know, it's been succeeded by the X-E3, and, you know, now we've got the X-T3 and the X-T30, which brings a whole new generation of Fujifilm autofocusing standards. But, you know, I can still get fantastic results from this camera. I'm still happy with it, and I'm going to continue using it for a little while yet. I am very tempted to get the X-E3 though, purely just because I want the higher resolution. 16 megapixels is enough really, but when you do want to crop in, it is really beneficial to have as many pixels as you can get naturally. But no complaints about this camera. Really, for the money, it's an absolute bargain. Get yourself one and you will be happy. Shoot with it, take beautiful photos, and just enjoy it. Okay, that's my review of this camera. Hope you've enjoyed it. If you have, please subscribe, like, all that sort of stuff. It does encourage me to make more videos, and I'll have more videos for you soon. Thank you. Bye.